Listen, I'm going to tell you something that will probably piss off half the internet, but someone needs to say it. You know what I see when I look around? Men, successful men, good-looking men, intelligent men, sitting alone for years. Not months. Years. And before you start typing your angry comment, let me ask you something. When was the last time you saw a genuinely happy couple under 35? I mean genuinely happy, not filtered, not goals for Instagram, but real. Take your time. Oh wait. You can't remember, can you? And there's a reason for that. We've built a world where being alone isn't a tragedy anymore. It's a survival strategy. Men didn't stop dating because they hate women. They stopped because the modern dating market punishes them for trying. It's not that they can't find someone. It's that every attempt feels like walking into a psychological minefield, where one wrong word, one wrong joke, one wrong text can destroy everything. Why risk it? Imagine this. You're told your entire life that being a good man, respectful, loyal, supportive, will earn you love. Then you grow up and realize none of that matters anymore. Now it's about height, income, social clout, vibes, and aura. Your kindness is boring. Your stability is too safe. Your loyalty? Nice but no spark. Modern dating tells men, if you're not extraordinary, don't even bother. Because average isn't enough anymore. Not for a generation raised on dopamine hits and Instagram fantasies. Every man has seen it. He works on himself, builds his career, hits the gym, learns emotional intelligence, and still gets ghosted by a woman who claims she wants a real man. He pays for dinner, listens to her trauma, gives his best energy, and still gets replaced by a guy who treats her half as well but twice as indifferently. And when he finally stops trying, he's called bitter. He's labeled incel, misogynist, emotionally unavailable. But nobody asks why he stopped trying. Let's be honest. Women today have become terrible at recognizing value when it's not wrapped in luxury. They chase men they can't keep, ignore the ones who die for them, and call it empowerment. They say they want love, but they treat affection like a negotiation. And it's not even malicious, it's cultural programming. Every message, every influencer, every boss babe podcast tells them, never settle. You're the prize. Don't date down. So they raise the bar higher and higher, forgetting that the air up there is thin, and most men have stopped climbing. Here's the irony. The same women who complain about where all the good men went are the ones who made those men stop showing up. They call men fragile, yet it's women who rage when they're rejected. They say men can't handle strong women, but confuse strength with entitlement. They demand men be vulnerable, then weaponize that vulnerability the moment conflict arises. So men learned. Quietly. They learned that peace is better than validation. That freedom is safer than love. That solitude hurts less than disrespect. The dating landscape is now a paradox. Men are improving, physically, financially, emotionally, but their reward for growth is suspicion. Why are you still single? What's wrong with you? They can't win. If they chase, they're desperate. If they wait, they're lazy. If they commit, they're simps. If they walk away, they're cowards. It's no wonder more men are saying, no thanks. Ask any man in his 30s why he's single, and you'll hear the same quiet resignation. It's just not worth it anymore. He's tired of auditioning. Tired of paying for dates that feel like interviews. Tired of giving emotional labor to someone who thinks partnership means sponsorship. He doesn't hate women, he just doesn't trust the system. And here's the devastating truth. He's right not to. Divorce laws punish him. Social media mocks him. Dating apps exploit him. And women? Many treat him like a disposable convenience, an experience, not a person. He knows that if things go wrong, society won't protect him. His emotions will be dismissed, his money divided, his reputation destroyed. So he opts out. Not out of bitterness, out of logic. Modern men are not avoiding love because they fear commitment. They're avoiding love because commitment has become a gamble with rigged odds. So they build instead, careers, businesses, bodies, peace. They fill the void not with another person but with purpose. Because in today's world, loving a woman often feels like losing yourself. And men have finally realized that the cost of love isn't worth the collapse of identity. Let's be brutally honest. Modern dating isn't broken for men. It's broken because of women. We've built a culture that tells women they can do no wrong and tells men that everything they do is wrong. A woman ghosts a man? She's protecting her peace. A man stops texting back? He's emotionally unavailable. A woman rejects a man for being broke? She knows her worth. A man rejects a woman for being overweight? He's shallow. See the pattern? The double standard is now the foundation of modern relationships. And men are finally waking up. Once upon a time, men fought to earn love. Now they fight to avoid humiliation. They've watched their fathers get destroyed in divorces, their brothers lose custody, their friends mocked for being too nice. They've seen women broadcast private arguments online for validation, call emotional manipulation boundaries, and use self-love as a license for selfishness. The result? Men are retreating, not out of weakness but out of exhaustion. Here's the truth women hate hearing. Men didn't stop loving women. They stopped trusting them. Because the modern woman doesn't want a partner. She wants a project manager, therapist, entertainer, and financial provider rolled into one. She says she wants equality but only when it's convenient. She wants a man to pay for dinner, plan the dates, protect her, read her mind, and then have the humility to call it teamwork. That's not equality. That's emotional extortion. Ask yourself, when did dating become a performance review? Men now walk into relationships like job interviews listing qualifications, stable income, emotional intelligence, ambition, communication skills. And still it's never enough. Because she's not looking for love. She's looking for leverage. Love used to mean building something together. Now it means finding someone who can maintain her lifestyle while she posts self-made quotes on Instagram. Let's talk about the strong independent woman myth, the most successful PR campaign of the last 50 years. We told women independence was the ultimate goal. But what did they actually achieve? A generation of women with high salaries and higher antidepressant prescriptions. Women who earn more but sleep less. Who brag about not needing a man, but cry themselves to sleep scrolling through couples' photos. Who trade connection for attention, affection for aesthetics. You can't build intimacy on filters and feminism slogans. Here's the paradox. Women say they want emotionally available men, but the moment a man opens up, they lose attraction. They say they want honesty, until honesty hurts their ego. They say they want peace, yet chase the chaos that feels like passion. Men see this contradiction. They live it. They've realized that no matter how hard they try, they can't win a rigged game. So they stop playing. And what happens when men stop chasing? Women panic. They post TikToks about where the good men went. They blame men for being weak, for not stepping up, for being scared of strong women. No. Men aren't scared, they're bored. Bored of entitlement. Bored of emotional blackmail disguised as love. Bored of trying to build something with someone who's already planning her escape the moment she's not entertained. We've reached a point where the average man would rather build a business, hit the gym, and hang out with friends than risk another emotional minefield. He's happier sleeping in peace than arguing for affection. He'd rather die alone than live constantly accused of not doing enough. And can you blame him? In a world where his effort is invisible, his pain is ignored, and his devotion is dismissed as weakness, solitude isn't loneliness. It's self-defense. Because here's what women don't understand. When a man truly disconnects, when he learns peace, he doesn't come back. He might smile at you, flirt a little, maybe even sleep with you. But deep down, his heart is already behind locked doors. He's been burned too many times to ever hand the keys over again. And when women finally realize that, it will already be too late. Something has shifted, quietly, profoundly, and irreversibly. You can feel it in every city, every dating app, every empty restaurant table on a Friday night. Men have stopped chasing. Not because they've given up, but because they've woken up. They've finally realized that chasing love in this generation is like trying to fill a leaking cup. No matter how much you pour in, it never stays. For decades, society told men their worth depended on what they could give. Their time, their strength, their money, their sanity. Be a provider. Be reliable. Be her rock. But nobody told them what to do when being a rock meant being stepped on. Men were raised to protect women. Now they need protection from women. From manipulation, false accusations, emotional warfare, and the slow erosion of self-worth that comes from constantly being told they're never enough. And so, the modern man learned the hardest lesson of all. Peace is more valuable than companionship. At first, it feels unnatural. The silence. The empty bed. The absence of someone texting, "Where are you?" every few hours. But then something strange happens. He starts to feel free. He wakes up when he wants. Eats what he wants. Spends his money how he wants. And no one criticizes him for it. No one uses guilt as a leash. He starts to remember who he was before he was constantly apologizing for it. This is the new male revolution. Not loud, not angry, but calm and unbothered. Men are rediscovering joy in their solitude. They're working out, building businesses, gaming, traveling, creating. They've realized that peace, productivity, and purpose fill the same emotional void that used to be occupied by conditional affection. He used to text her good morning. Now he texts his gym buddy. He used to spend his evenings trying to read her moods. Now he spends them reading books that actually teach him something. He's not cold. He's healed. Men used to crave approval. Now they crave quiet. Because approval never lasted, it was always followed by another demand, another test, another way to prove love. But quiet? Quiet doesn't lie. When a man closes his door and sits in that stillness, no drama, no confusion, no emotional manipulation, he realizes he's been starving for this kind of peace his entire life. And the moment he tastes it, no woman can compete with it unless she brings the same calm energy. The modern man has also learned that intimacy without peace is just chaos with a pretty face. He's watched too many of his friends fall for passion that burns fast and leaves ashes behind. He's learned that no amount of beauty can make up for the exhaustion of emotional games. You know what men talk about now when they're together? Not cars. Not status. Not bagging women. They talk about peace. I just want someone who doesn't drain me. I'd rather be alone than constantly walking on eggshells. Those aren't weak statements, they're the voice of a generation of men who've been emotionally taxed to death. And here's the twist that society doesn't want to admit. Men didn't evolve out of relationships. Women did. Women traded vulnerability for power. They mistook dominance for confidence. They replaced nurturing with negotiation. They turned love into a scoreboard. Now they're left wondering why men don't show up anymore. It's simple. Because men don't go where they're unwanted. And they no longer confuse desire with danger. He remembers how it used to be. The last time he truly opened up. How she said, "You can tell me anything," and then used his confession as a weapon months later. How she claimed she wanted honesty but punished him every time he told the truth. So now he tells no one. He just listens. He observes. He learns. And slowly he becomes unshakable. This is what women call emotionally unavailable. But it's not unavailability, it's emotional self-defense. He stopped searching for the one. Because now he knows what's real. Peace is the one. Purpose is the one. Freedom is the one. And the more he invests in those things, the less tolerance he has for chaos disguised as connection. He's seen what love costs in this era. His freedom, his finances, his sanity, and the return on that investment is rarely worth it. Do you know what modern men say now? She doesn't bring me peace? Then she doesn't stay. It's not hatred. It's boundaries. It's maturity that came from pain. And that's what terrifies women the most. Not that men are angry but that they're indifferent. Because once a man learns to be happy alone, you can't control him with loneliness anymore. He doesn't chase validation. He doesn't argue online. He doesn't beg to be understood. He simply leaves, quietly, permanently, peacefully. This is the age of male detachment, not because men stopped loving, but because they started loving themselves enough to walk away. There comes a moment in every man's life when something inside him just clicks. Not in anger, not in rebellion, but in absolute clarity. He realizes he doesn't need to explain himself anymore. He doesn't owe anyone an apology for wanting peace. He doesn't owe anyone his effort just to prove he's a good man. He's done fighting invisible wars and relationships where he's treated like the enemy. This is the quiet revolution, the great male withdrawal. And it's not fueled by hate. It's fueled by exhaustion. Men have spent years being told they're the problem. That they're not sensitive enough, not ambitious enough, not tall enough, not something enough. They've been told to open up, only to have their emotions used against them later. Told to lead, then shamed for being controlling. Told to support, but never supported in return. And eventually a man just stops. He stops explaining his worth to people who can't see it. He stops auditioning for women who only want his status, not his soul. He stops chasing love that feels more like labor than connection. That's not giving up. That's waking up. We live in a time where women call emotional neglect boundaries and selfishness self-respect. They've rebranded detachment as empowerment and can't understand why men are doing the same thing now. But men finally get it. If she can choose herself over love, so can he. And unlike her, he doesn't need validation for it. He's not making TikToks about self-love. He's just living it, quietly. You can feel it everywhere, a collective silence from men who once shouted their pain. They've stopped arguing, stopped debating, stopped defending themselves against accusations that no longer mean anything. Because when the truth becomes punishable, silence becomes power. These men aren't bitter, they're building. They're turning that emotional energy into something tangible: strength, stability, independence. The same traits they were mocked for are now their shield. And here's the irony no one wants to admit. As men withdraw, women are starting to panic. The very gender that said, "We don't need men," is now asking, "Where did all the men go?" They're scrolling through apps filled with ghosts of their own choices. Good men who left quietly when they realized love had turned into a transaction. You can see it in their faces. The same women who once laughed at men for being too nice are now crying over the ones who won't even look their way. Society is finally feeling the cost of mocking masculinity. Birth rates are dropping. Marriages collapsing. Families dissolving. And still people ask, what's happening? What's happening is simple. Men are done trying to win a game that's rigged against them. They've learned that no matter how much they give, it'll never be enough. So they stop playing. He doesn't argue anymore when she says, "Men are trash." He just smiles. Because he knows she's not angry at men. She's angry that men don't care anymore. She can't control indifference. She can't shame silence. She can't manipulate peace. And that's the most dangerous kind of man. The one who's not reactive. Not bitter. Not chasing. Just gone. This isn't a war between men and women. It's the inevitable result of imbalance. Men were told to evolve emotionally. They did. Women were told to evolve socially. They did. But somewhere along the way both forgot how to meet in the middle. Now men live in solitude that feels safer than love. And women live in freedom that feels lonelier than they imagined. That's the tragedy of our time. Nobody really won. Because here's the truth that burns the deepest. Men didn't leave love. Love left them first. When it stopped being about us and became all about me. And now, as men build quiet lives filled with discipline, peace, and purpose, they're not looking back with bitterness. They're looking forward. Toward a world where their happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's permission. The age of male solitude isn't a rebellion. It's a correction. A course reset from chaos back to calm. From manipulation back to meaning. From conditional love back to self-respect. Men have finally realized something women still refuse to accept. Peace will always be more attractive than passion. And once a man finds peace, no amount of beauty, validation, or apology will ever make him trade it again.